Luke, it's great to see you again. Been a while, I think about 4 months since our last interview. And at the time, you said you had made $2,600 within 1 month, which was quite substantial at the time. But now I've seen you on the leaderboards within the content creation campus. So I know you're doing much better than last time. And it would be interesting to catch up and see just how much work you've put into everything and how you've attained the amount of money that you have now. And for the viewer, could you say how much is it that you've earned in those past 4 months?
Yes, for sure. So anyone who's watching that doesn't know me, I'm Luke Rall. I'm a 19-year-old South African, and I've made over $50,000 in less than 50 months from the content creation campus inside the real world.
What a bombshell to drop there. At your age, making that much. And clearly, that would have been more recent then, within the past maybe month or 2 months that I'm presuming it's a retainer from multiple clients that all adds up to 35,000, right?
Yeah, so I believe about 2 months ago, I closed a $10,000 a month retainer. And then after that, I closed a $35,000 retainer, which is a contract for 12 months. So that is in total, I believe, about $410,000. So it's all been going up from there. Before
Mhm.
I closed a $10,000 retainer, I I was earning about $5,000 a month, and it's all based off about. So I currently run an agency. It's all based off about basically two businesses. It's two
Mhm.
brands that I've signed deals with. It's in client list. It's really small.
Okay, so very solid. Even better then. You don't have to deal with multiple clients. It's just well paying few clients, which is perfect. Okay, there will be a lot to dive in there into there.
Yeah, 100%.
From 2,600 a month, I'd imagine your mindset at the time was like, super cool. Didn't know this was possible. But how much you're earning now? What was the mindset shift there to actually land a client for 10,000 a month, to actually propose what you're doing and believe in yourself and what you do to pitch that kind of amount?
I think the mindset, in all honesty, it was more of a thing of, well, I know I can do this. So it was a mindset shift of, okay, I feel a bit of imposter syndrome before. I didn't know that I could do it. I could make the numbers. And now I knew that I could make the numbers. And I was thinking to myself, how big could I go? The creative mind, there was a bit of a creative mind behind it. And I thought to myself, what could I do? I could do unlimited things with what I've been taught in the real world. And I just took that to another level. I just thought out of the box, and I just took the skills that I got taught and I expanded them. I thought, okay, I could go make social media ads. I could go manage someone's social media. I could, make websites. I could, do banners for people, profile pictures, do all that type of stuff. I could do photography, videography, all that type of stuff. And I thought that was a mindset shift. I wasn't just limited. I was no longer limited to what I initially started off with, but I realized I could go so far with it. And I think a lot of the time people limit themselves. Say in university, they think, oh, I got an engineering degree. I only have to go to an engineering job or whatever. But they don't realize that they can go start a engineering firm. And there's the same way with me. I started off with UGC. I grew out a bit. I learned how to do UGC. And then I started teaching people how to do UGC. That was my first $10,000. And then after that, I was like, listen, I've got a business here. I've got multiple creators below me. I can start something bigger. I can start doing all the types of things from the base level of content creation to the bottom funnel, as we would say, like almost like where the most money comes in, the big money comes in. And I thought to myself, I can't just limit myself anymore. I have to expand bigger.
Hmm. So, in the end, what kind of services did you end up offering your current paying clients?
So the first $10,000 client, basically it was a mix of both. learning what we call talk to camera, which is like personal branding, and UGC, which, if you guys don't know what UGC is, it's basically a how do you say it, like a testimonial on social media. If you're scrolling on TikTok, you might see, hey, this is the best microphone ever. You must buy it now. Clicking the link below. That's UGC. So the first client was a, I don't want to say the name, but uh, it was a beauty pageant in my local area, which was very big, and it would lead to a what they would call in the world Miss Universe, or when a Mrs. Universe, or anything like that. So obviously, some people at home might know Mrs. Universe. So it leads, the local competition leads to that, and I was doing about 8 creators at the time. That led me to about $10,000, and they would have to post maybe 20 posts on their social media, or 30 posts on their social media per month, with about 30 brands. And I would basically teach him how to talk to camera, how to do UGC, how to make these social media ads, and I would edit it for them as well. I'd film them, edit it for them, and that kind of stuff. And it would expand. Obviously, I'd get more creators on my list. And then recently, I landed a deal with a lightweight steel company, which was struggling on the online social presence. They had a terrible website. They had basically a lack of social media. And on top of that, they wanted to expand into greater. So obviously, I'm based in South Africa. They wanted to expand into the greater continent of Africa, and they didn't know how to do that based off no social media presence. So I said to them, "Listen, I can do your website, I can do all the photography of your projects," because they were a lightweight steel structures company, because they do all the roofing and stuff for them, for big warehouses and stuff like that. And I said, I can do all the photos and videos for you. I can do your social media. I can post on your social media for you. I can design your website. And on top of that, the biggest thing that sold was that they wanted to expand into international territory. And I said, listen, I'll create ads for that.
So super solid offer. And why did they trust you? What was it? Was it from previous work you had done that you showed them, or what?
Basically, it was the main thing that sold them was basically, yes, it was a part that I had done a lot for a lot of local brands. I had never gone international with like my own UGC or content creation journey, but the biggest thing that sold them was how I sold them, and and I have to owe it all to the real world, because all of the selling techniques, I mean, I would never go into a meeting like that and tell them, "Listen, I'm the best creator for you," without the real world, because the best selling point is not, it's not, how do you say it, how many people you've worked before, and it's not about price and how you can compete with other people. It's about the work that you show. So I basically showed them my work, um, not like them looking up previous creators. I literally just pulled up a website and showed them other content creation pieces, and they were like, "Listen, we want you." And I mean, I wouldn't be able to do that without the real world.
Crazy. I'm sure that's very inspiring for people listening. Just seeing how far you can come in such a short amount of time as well. So yeah, congratulations on that. Amazing to hear. Um, and you said you have two things going on. So was that just one side of it? And is there another side that you do, or have you talked about both at this point?
I think there's so many. Like I said, I could sit here for hours talking about what I do and whatnot. I think if I had to generalize it, that was basically it. But
Okay,
you
okay.
know, there's a lot of nitty gritty things that I yeah,
That's fine. That's fine.
it really goes
Okay.
deep.
I remember during last interview, you said your parents thought this was more of a side hustle and a temporary thing, but still wanted you to go to university. Has their opinion changed after seeing the amount of money you've made, or are they still skeptical about the longevity of it?
Well, my belief, I got I got them to get on board with the whole idea of Hustlers University, and you know, I think that they believe it's more of a constant thing, more like maybe a year's time. But in my opinion, they still think it is. I obviously can't exactly say for them, but I still believe that they think it's a temporary thing. But I did get them on board of the idea of Hustlers University. It's I don't like to compare a lot, but I always used to say, listen, people my age, they will might go do a waitering job at like some restaurant. And I think to myself, these guys are earning not even a 50th, maybe a hundredth of what I'm earning this month. And I think they realize, I can't say, but I think they realize
Mhm.
that this is something that is more than just something temporary. And it's to the point where they actually openly speak about it to the greater, maybe someone they meet at work or maybe a
Mhm.
friend. I've noticed it. I mean, we had family over for Mother's Day recently, which was on Sunday, and they literally were openly speaking about what I was doing. And I thought to myself, maybe they're actually realizing that this is something which is bigger than just a side hustle or, you know, something which is temporary while I wait to go to college or while I take the year off to go to college. So I think they realize that this is something big.
Mhm. And yeah, it shows that they are proud of you if they're speaking to everyone in the community about what you do. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much they show, but clearly that's a clear sign of pride. So that's always amazing. Okay. um, and you're making, as you said, 35,000 a month now. So where do you go from here? What plans do you have?
Man, it's hard because, as Tate says, you can be a brokey, but you can be a brokey with money. And I feel like that right now because obviously jumping from $10,000 a month to $35,000 a month, there's a large mindset change because it's three times the amount. I feel like I'm a brokey with money, as Tate would say, but I think in the future definitely expand greater than what I'm. Currently I'm working for a lot of local brands, in inside of South Africa, but I would love to expand out my services, network with people, and expand out to even Europe or America or Asia or anything like that. It would That would be my long term goal, and that's where I'd go from here.
I would like to delve a bit more into that because I'd expect someone saying that they feel like, well, I don't know if this is the right phrase to use, but I just said the broker with money. Maybe it's someone who made money from crypto. I'd imagine saying that. But you've put in a major amount of work into achieving this. It's just that maybe it's scaled beyond what you expected in such a short amount of time. But you have put in the work for it. Um, so, what do you think do you need to do more to not feel that way? In what other areas do you need to develop?
I think in terms of, realizing the responsibility of the money, because as much as, Tate says, listen, we all see these quote unquote wealthy people that don't buy Lamborghinis and don't buy Ferraris, but I think I also have to realize the responsibility of this money, because next thing you know, it I could, lose it all. So I think the biggest step for me right now is just taking and comprehending how much money I have and realizing that this is a bigger deal than just, like I started off with was $2,600. I think it's a bigger step. And I have to realize that this is not just small money anymore. I can't just like, have fun with it. It's more of a thing of like, listen, I need to grow this now. I need to actually take this money and grow it bigger. And so it's more of a, in the sense of a mindset change of the value of money, the maturity of my mind looking at money, because I've never dealt with this much money by myself. Maybe you could look at a car and say it's $35,000. Yes, you've looked at $35,000 or whatever, but I've never actually dealt with it and it's never been to my name. So I have to take that maturity and realize what I actually have in my possession and realize that this is not something that must go to waste, because
Hmm.
this could drop all tomorrow. And I must also stay at the same time. I must also stay humble, because the biggest thing when you earn more money than everyone else is because you want to boast about it. And I have to realize that I have to stay humble at the same time, because the more humble I stay, the more I realize that this is maybe something that might be temporary, or it might be something bigger and I could grow bigger.
Hmm. A very responsible answer. Great to hear that you have that kind of mindset. And it's interesting. I hope the viewer got some interesting insight from that, because it's not something you hear from every person who acquires money. So, yeah, very solid. And let's delve a bit more into the content creation campus, if there's more to cover there. I know it's been evolving over the period that you've been in it. So, what would you say have been the most useful lessons and applications? Just anything that comes to mind that contributed to where you are now.
Well, you know, if I had to if I had to say what contributed most, was that every day inside the content creation campus we have a call with our professor, the Pope. And the biggest thing is that he speaks about topics that we it's not fluff, if you would say. It's more of things that we need to use when we deal with business. And it would be a call, maybe say, how do you price your service? How do you approach a business call with, how do you sell, that kind of thing. And I think that was the biggest thing that helped me, because you know you, you kind of go into these things blind. When you approach these things, you have no one holding your hand. And I think that's in life as well. When you go into a business school, when you go into a meet on a one-on-one meeting, you go into there and you actually have no, if you it's your first time, you have no clue what you're doing. And even for me, who's done lots of them, sometimes you kind of go into the unknown. And I think the biggest thing was that our professor, the Pope, helped give us knowledge on these calls, that it was actually valuable. When I went onto a call, I know how to approach each topic. So if the prospect might say, hey, listen, this is too much money, or I would know how to respond. He would give the professor would give us these type of responses back. And on top of that, it's also how to, it's not just a single use case scenario. It's a very, I wouldn't say it's very generalized, but it's also very niche, very specific as well. So he might say it in a generalized way, but it can be applied to so many different areas. On top of that, if I had to speak from other, like another perspective, what's a recent addition to the content creation campus is what we have three challenges inside the content creation campus. It's called the speed bounty, the cash challenge, and the social experiment, which all three contribute to you becoming a winner and you becoming successful, because the cash challenge teaches you day by day how to become successful, the steps you must take to become successful. And maybe day one might be pick a niche, but day 20 might be, this is what you send to the prospect. And can I see your free values? And every day, the captains give feedback on how you must improve, and how, listen, this is why it did not work. And maybe it's a very conversational thing. And then the social experiment is, you, hour by hour, you write down how you can, how your day went. So maybe like 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning, it might be wake up and make coffee. And then you do that hour by hour throughout the day until you go to bed. And the captains write feedback on that and say, listen, at maybe 12 o'clock, you wasted time. I feel like you could be a bit more efficient here, or a general life advice. And then the speed bounty is the biggest one for anyone who's joining Hustlers University. The speed bounty is as a set of challenges every single day, which you create maybe an image, maybe a product image, a video, even just send a YouTube link to a video of music, and you get cash for that. If you win the bounty or the speed challenge, you get a cash prize. It could be anything from $50 to maybe a subscription to a certain service. So I think that the content creation campus inside Hustlers University is something which is more than just helping you make money, but it's also helping you become the best version of yourself throughout your day, hour by hour. It's making you become the best person you could possibly become.
And on that note, maybe a bit of an unexpected question for you. What is your purpose?
My purpose, jeez, I've my purpose generally in life is to, I think a lot of people might say this, but if someone had to approach my child one day or my grandchild one day, and they had to ask, "Oh, what did your father do?" I want them to say, or maybe even someone Googles my name one day, or someone had to look back on me, maybe if I've passed, or even if I'm still alive. I want my purpose is to become the best in my bloodline. And I know this is a very common answer, but it's a very true thing for me because I want to become something which not only makes my parents proud, but also makes the people before me proud, to a point where people can look back or even currently look at my situation and say, listen, Luke inspires me. I want to become as good as Luke, or even the people in my family. Luke inspires me. He has done great things. I've brought him up right. You know, that's my true purpose, is inspiring people and becoming the best that I can, best person I possibly can. Really.
Mhm. Let me know if you're comfortable revealing this as well. On that journey of becoming the best version of you, I know a lot of people who will watch this video will think, what other improvement really is there for you to make? Because it seems you have everything together very well. But from your perspective, what do you still see that needs working on to become that person that you wanted to be?
Sorry, excuse me for a second. I think from a perspective of improving, many people think that obviously I've made it. So $35,000, like you said, I've made it. And many people cannot, even with a normal job, cannot reach that goal. And from a perspective, I think it's just, I like to say everyone's a student in a classroom and we are forever learning. So from my perspective, what I can improve on is the skills which I never had before. I can make money. I can make business deals. I can make, that type of thing. I can make friends. But the things that maybe I would like to improve on is the other skills which I would maybe feel like I'm lacking on. And that might be teamwork. Not saying it is, but maybe teamwork and stuff like that. And specifically to me, I think the biggest thing that I could improve on is mainly just the circumstance that in which I am. So obviously, I live in South Africa, and I think we've spoken about it previously before, where South Africa is in the nicest place. I'd love to move out of here eventually at some point. That's one thing that's materialistic, but another thing is just improving relations around me. Being more open with friends, and creating a brotherhood, because at the end of the day, the only thing which, if you fail, if you down in like the lowest of the low in your life, the only people that are going to bring you up is the brotherhood you have around you. So for me personally, I would like to create a stronger brotherhood, maybe give my parents and myself a better situation in life, not just not just from a money perspective, what I can buy, but a location perspective, but mainly the brotherhood. So from here, it's mainly just creating those connections, those people around me who can bring me up and who can help me and who can support me as well. And the Hustlers University does exactly that. I've already started creating a brotherhood with a lot of, because I'm a captain nominee inside of the consecration campus. I've already started creating a started forming a brotherhood amongst other captains and other captain nominees. And I think that's the strongest thing, because if I'm feeling weak that day, they will tell me the truth. They won't lie to me and say, "Oh, you can." They won't sugarcoat it. They will also, on the top of that, maybe at times they'll be honest, but at times when I'm at the low point where I'm like, maybe I've just lost a contract, they'll help me. They'll bring me up. They'll motivate me, teach me, and yeah, like I said, teach me their things which they've learned over time, and I'll teach them my things which I've learned over time. So the biggest thing for me right now is I want to build that stronger brotherhood.
Mhm. Okay. And that brings to mind, I specifically heard this from Alex Hormozy. He says, when you begin on this journey, usually it will be a very lonely road for maybe the first 1 to 2 years. Differs for everyone, could be longer, could be shorter. But since you had Hustlers University from when you joined, did it still feel like a lonely road? Do you need that person next to you, with you, like a in the sense of brotherhood, or is the community that you have inside Hustlers University, was it a good substitute for that?
Well, I feel that Hustlers University alone, just the community inside there, and the community inside there right now, even when I joined back in September last year or whenever it was, I felt like that was enough, because to be quite honest, there was always a person around the corner. I could literally, it was one message away from helping me out. There was always one person, one message away that I could say, listen, I'm dealing with this. And regardless if they're a person in power or a professor or anything like that, someone would always be there to help me out. So in the end, I feel like from a basic standpoint, obviously you grow it up as people get in the community, get to know you more. The second you join Hustlers University, you become more of just a student. You become part of a community which is greater.
Mhm. That's beautiful to hear. And I don't know if I asked this during previous interview.
Hmm.
What were your plans before you joined Hustlers University? Where was your life heading? What goals did you have? Just to compare to how things actually ended up turning out.
Man, jeez. I think prior to even thinking about joining Hustlers University, like the tipping point which made me click that bar button and give my card, kind of thing. I think I was obviously going to head off to some sort of university, some sort of cheap university, not something great. And I was most likely going to study law, ironically. Um, and I think my life was, I always had this idea of building some sort of business. I definitely wasn't going into life without the ambition. I always thought that I'll become something greater. And I was thinking, okay, I could get a law degree and start my own firm or maybe my own business, because obviously to a certain extent, a lot of people just drop out of law and just start their own business. So that was my life before. I thought I was just going to get a degree, work a normal job, and maybe start my own business one day. There was an ambition that I definitely believed that I would, but there was no actual truth behind it in a sense.
Mhm. I guess it was similar with me as well. I know from the age of 16, I got tired of being poor, and I decided at some point I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to create something of my own. But until then, until I get the idea or I know what to do, I'll go down the traditional route of university and everything else.
Mm.
So I guess, yeah, we're similar. Okay. And that's pretty much all my questions then. I know probably some deeper ones than you expected towards the end, but I loved hearing your answers for them. And I think it would be good insights to people watching as well, especially your age demographic. Maybe they were thinking about things differently and now they have new insights from this, which would be pretty cool. And now to wrap up, I know I asked this last time, but it's a good way to end off. So for people who are unsure about joining Hustlers University because they're thinking they might get scammed for $50, what advice would you have to them?
Well, I think putting Hustlers University and scam in the same sentence is a bit of a joke at this point. We all know it. There's a lot of people out there just like me. For me, for instance, I've made over $50,000 in less than 5 months from Hustlers University, and now I'm making $35,000 a month from Hustlers University. And we all know that this isn't a scam. Some of your friends may have joined it, but at the end of the day, the biggest scam in the world right now is you going to university, getting in debt, working an endless job to provide something which isn't actually something which you could truly achieve. If you have that ambition to start that business, to maybe invest in the stock market or invest in crypto or do anything like that, then you have a true journey inside Hustlers University. So if you want to be scammed, go to university, go to college, go get a degree, go work an endless job. But if you truly want to live up to your ambition and truly live up to the success of your bloodline, then join Hustlers University.
What a great answer. Love that. For people who want to find out more about you or contact you, where can they do so?
Well, currently they can do the same as last time. They can contact me on Instagram. My @ is Luke Raw at Luke Raw. And I'm sure Rokus will link it in the description of
Yep.
Rumble and YouTube, wherever this is posted. So yeah,
In both. In Rumble and YouTube. Links will be in the description. So anyone interested can check that. And Luke, thank you for coming on for the follow up. It was a great conversation.
thank you.
Amazing how far you've come. A great story. And I look forward to the third follow up because at this rate, I mean, I can't even project what you'll be at. Like, who knows?
The
The
sky's
sky's
the
the
limit.
limit for you at this point. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. All right. So, great talking to you and wish you all the best until next time.
Thank you, Rokus.